Hi, I'm not sure the question directed at, but are we tied in for an Eventbrite for the next few years? Or can I just say that as a season ticket holder of at least 12 years and spending 5 hours trying to get an Everton ticket, I'm not very impressed, mate. Thank you.
So to give you the direct answer in terms of the contract, we've got one more season after this with Eventbrite. We've already started the tendering process for looking at partners beyond that, one of which is Eventbrite. The contractual commitment is to apply for an extension. And then I suppose the more technical element in terms of ticket allocation and how things are sold and how we do that through the system, it's obviously an ongoing challenge when supply and demand don't align. And I think, you know, without sounding too protective and defensive of Eventbrite, which I'm not, I'm certainly certainly not doing that. But you know, whatever system you have, we were going to disappoint people. My frustration is purely in and around the inconsistency. I think that we saw with some of the user experience, and that from my point of view is the frustration, because you know, we want to offer a fair service and something that no matter what the outcome is, it's felt like everybody had the equal chance and equal opportunity. That said, you know, on the whole, I think the Eventbrite platform did its job for the Everton fixture, and has done it for other games as well. I think, you know, we are always going to have that challenge and supply demand, and we worked hard with the supporters board in terms of looking at ticketing policies, so the 80-20 policy that we had in place between season ticket holders and my imps. But without labouring the point, I think the primary challenge, although it's a really nice one to have, was supply and demand.
Okay, happy with that?
Ish. Now we've got an awful lot of very young people down here. I'm wondering if any young people down here have got a question. Oh, I'm loving this. Hand straight up. This is going to be the question of the night. Here we go. Everybody quiet.
Are you going to be signing any more players?
There you go. Straight in. I told you. And Roger, I didn't set him up.
We would certainly like to add to the squad. We're conscious we're in a very good position in the league, but we want to make sure that we nail that as best we can. We recognise, you know, the old adage, the cliches, you want to go out of the transfer windows with a stronger squad than you've gone into it. That is certainly what we intend to do. We can never just come here and say we will sign players. They've got to be the right characters, they've got to be the right ability, they've got to be available. But our intention, yes, is to add to the squad.
Any imminent signing?
Not sure. It could have been in 5 minutes ago, and in 10 minutes' time, that's the nature of it. You sometimes get so close to the line, then something happens and you return to it. So I could sit here now and say there's nothing imminent, and Liam will get a text in an hour's time going, oh, guess what? So watch this space. But no, we're not saying there will be someone in for Saturday.
If you drop enough subtle hints, though. You never know. Right, who's next? It's gone very quiet. Here we go. 2 at the bar. I'll make my way down.
Good evening. I'd like to address a question to Clive. Having spent quite a few years out in South Africa, I don't remember Lincoln being one of the places in South Africa. You know, we've got Newcastle and a load of other places from England named. How does Lincoln appear down in South Africa? You know, is it do people know about it, or?
They do now.
Brilliant.
Seriously, I don't think a lot of people in South Africa would have heard of Lincoln. There are a lot of people, in all honesty, that will have heard of Lincoln City now.
Right. Well, fantastic. Well done.
Hello. Right. Yeah, I'm not sure quite who this addresses to, and I can't really speak for the whole of the club, but we sit in lower 7,
and it's a topic that's come up on Facebook a few times, is the quality of the food and the service of the food or the service. So my question is, really, is there any plans to change the supplier, or at least make the food so it's warm and the queues can be managed in a better capacity? So, yeah, thank you.
So I think taking catering as something across the piece, and trust me when, this is something that we look at quite regularly, and I've spent a large amount of time looking at. I think there's a number of challenges that are presented with Sincil Bank. It's a fantastic amphitheatre for football, it's a great venue for football, but equally its age and the facilities that it provides, it gives us a number of operational challenges. And if I kind of give you some numbers, and please, this isn't a politician's answer, but if you look at the number of people that come through Sincil Bank, if you were to build a stadium following new legislation and the Green Guide, which is basically the governing document that you build new stadiums to, we would have at least 22 pouring and serving points across the whole stadium. Well, at Sincil Bank we've got 5. Now, for us to be successful in serving people at half time and give the experience that you would want ideally, to crunch the numbers, the team that are serving would have to serve a person every 3.7 seconds at half time for us just to get through the queues. Now, I know that sounds like I'm kind of hiding behind a lot of numbers there, but they are our genuine challenges that we face. What you have seen us do over the course of certainly the last 18 months is we're trying to get some more pop-up facilities, we're trying to add more pouring, more serving points, and trying to get as many facilities as we can. But again, it's not just simply about creating more units. It then has a knock-on effect. Utilities, electricity, water, that all then comes into it. And part of the issues when you and I know you're deadly serious about the quality of the food, and as are we, but some of the challenges that have presented themselves is because we've had power shortages in because we've put too much infrastructure in there that's ultimately had a knock-on effect to the quality of the food. I think the one thing that I would say is we've got to be objective, and we've got to be honest with the levels that we're going to be able to reach and what we're going to be able to deliver. And there's a lot of me that is quite defensive over some of the provisions that we have got in place, because I don't think it's as bad as some of the hype and some of the challenge that comes its way. Do I think it's perfect? Is it where we want it to be? Absolutely not. But I think we've got to be objective, and we've got to be realistic in terms of what we're going to be able to do with the infrastructure. Things that are absolutely non-negotiable and not acceptable are when service is slower than what we would expect, when the quality of the food isn't right, and we're working with both our in-house catering team and outside event catering. For example, we've got a huge drive at the minute where we're trying to get over 80% of the stock bought in from Lincolnshire suppliers, and that'll make a difference. But these things don't happen, overnight. And I mean this with all due respect. The catering contract and the third party that ran it before did a very good job, but they was given a long period of time to get it right. OEC they're very into a short period of time into their old contract, so it is going to take time. I do request your patience, but equally this isn't me trying to buy time. We do take it seriously. So respect the comment that you make. Ultimately I'm disappointed that we're not delivering at the levels that you expect, and hopefully between the partnership and the team that work off the field at Lincoln City, we can get it right and get it to the standards that you deserve.
The good news is I'm thinking of pushing a tea urn round. You know when I go around before the game, so if you want a cup of tea, Alan's tea urn service or something like that. Anyway, who's next?
Sorry, Alan.
Oh, you what?
Can I just add something to what Liam said? I think also, we have to recognise that 3 years ago, Danny and Nikki had not even joined us. 2 years ago, we were a National League team that had been there for 6 years. 18 months ago, Liam was not even with us. We were catering for 2,500 people not that long ago. It's now 8,500. There's so many. There are so many things that have needed to change at the club. And, you know, Liam has been a godsend. He's been, you know, one of the most important acquisitions the club has made over the last 18 months. And, you know, we just have to look at the training ground. That a year ago, we had just identified the site. And what has happened in a year, what Liam has managed to get done in this period. You know, so it's just a recognition of where we've come from. Nobody says that we're perfect yet, but I think we've made enormous strides, and Liam has been very much responsible for so much that has happened off the field.
Hi, Clive. I met you at the Arsenal game, and you were sat with us in the fans area at the back there. But my question is, I wondered if there was any more potential investors on the horizon that would be looking into investing in Lincoln City.
Okay, in October, you know, we did announce that 4 new investors were coming on board, and you might have seen recently some money did come into Lincoln City Holdings, and that was as a result of their contribution from those 4 new investors. So these people are making an initial contribution. Obviously, we would like to believe that there will be more down the line, but you know, they've only been on board a couple of months. In fact, 2 of them have not even visited Sinselbank yet. In fact, their first game at Sinselbank will be next Saturday. They've chosen a great game. And I'm sure when they look across at nearly 10,000 people in the stadium, looking across at the co-op stand, I think they'll see just what an incredible atmosphere there is at Sinselbank and throughout the club. So I'm hopeful that there will be further investment to come in months or years to come.
Thank you.
Who's next? I'll be fit by the end of tonight, even if I'm not fit now.
It's nice to see the training ground at the end of the road just before we get to Scampton, and it seems to have come on fairly quick, and then progress seems to have slowed down visibly from the road. Can you tell us when it's going to be finished, and anything else about it really?
Yeah, so where we're ultimately at with the training ground, we were probably about 6 weeks behind schedule by the time it finished. In terms of the building, the pitches were ready just about on time in terms of the deadline that we had. And obviously now anyone within the building trade will tell you, you know, there's a certain time to be doing some of the works that's going on. So it's about getting it's about getting the conditions really. The site is usable, and it's something that we're very proud of. It isn't quite finished, but it is going to be a rolling programme that's going to go right through up until the summer, and then some phase 2 works will take place in the summer as well. No, it's probably, you know, it's 90% complete. It's just the finishing touches around the sides that will be going on.
Was it on budget as well?
Yeah, it was with intolerance. Although I say that now, I didn't get that feeling when Clive and Roger were looking at me across the boardroom table when I was telling them on the overruns. But no, listen, you know, without labouring the point, you know, the project happened at such a rate of knots. There were a number of spends that just couldn't be forecasted at the very beginning. We did take an option to make the building a little bit bigger and add some footprint to it as well. So there was some known overspends, but equally there was some overruns with it.
It's not affecting the playing budget?
No.
Who's next? We haven't had a young lady yet. I'm not that I'm saying you're a young lady, but come on, girls, it's your turn.
Do you plan an open day at the new training ground?
We definitely plan an open day, and as you can see from the shirts in the front row here, the families and the engagement with the all ages, but young families is really important to us. I think we've got to be really careful what we define, you know, the Elite Performance Centre as. It is a place of work for the players and for Danny and Nicky, and it's important that we treat it as such. That said, we're not a football club that sits behind walls and we close ourselves in. I think, you know, we'll continue to do the training ground visits and the packages that have taken place that are part funded, but we don't necessarily plan for it to be an open, accessible site that is available to all. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on quite sensitive, and equally, you know, we want it to be a place of work for Danny, Nicky, and the players. But yeah, I suppose the answer to that is, you know, there will be the opportunity for people to see it, but it's definitely not going to be an open site.
Oh, young lady.
Can I ask Clive, please, what attracted you to come to Lincoln in the first place from South Africa?
The weather.
Definitely not the weather. Well, I've been a football fan you know, since I was a kid. And if you're a football fan in South Africa, then you support an English football team. And the team I supported was Everton. And how that leads to Lincoln City is that in 2002, Lincoln City and Everton actually had an alliance that was based on work in the community and the ability for Lincoln to tap into some of Everton's youth players. Unfortunately, because of a whole lot of circumstances, Walter Smith, the then manager of Everton, got fired 2 months after this alliance was put in place, and Lincoln City went into administration. So those people that had actually set up the alliance were not at the club, you know, for very much longer afterwards. But as a result of that, I started to follow Lincoln City. And when it came to ticking off that number one item on my bucket list, investing in an English football team, Lincoln City was just the obvious choice. That's how I got to it.
I'm glad we were number one on the bucket list.
Hello, my question for Clive as well, that leads quite nicely onto this one. So, what are you most proud of over the last couple of seasons? I mean, the club's transformed. I mean, we can't believe where we are today. But what are you most proud of after everything we've done in the last couple of seasons?
Well, I think the main reason for that transformation is Danny and Nicky. So without a doubt, that has to be the number one achievement of all of us that were on the board at the time, to have been able to get Danny and Nicky to join the club. Without a doubt.
Couldn't afford them without our investment, the wages. Is that right?
Now we couldn't afford that.
No, we couldn't afford that.
Yeah, look, I mean, we obviously had to stretch the budgets at that time because, you know, Chris, you know, wasn't being paid a salary. So here we suddenly had to pay, you know, 2 young men that were earning pretty decent salaries in the jobs that they had. So, yeah, we did have to put in some more money to get that done.
It's been very modest. It's been very modest. After we'd met up with Danny and Nicky, and they were, you won't be surprised to know, our favoured candidates. We had a rough idea what they were earning as teachers and what they were earning at Braintree, and we looked at the budget we had put aside for the coming season, and we knew that it would be short of what we thought we'd need to offer them. And without hesitation, I've agreed to put the extra money in.
Who's next? Up at the bar. Have you got a question? No. She hasn't got a question.
Question for Clive. With reference to your earlier comments about how the alliance with Everton disappeared for various reasons, have you thought about trying to instigate that again, or is it something that's past its time and you feel it's not relevant anymore?
The hospitality at Everton was fantastic over the weekend. And it was a great opportunity to meet with Paul Kenwright, their CEO, and I think we built potentially a good relationship with them. I wouldn't like to say at this point that there's any chance or raise any expectations, but let's see what happens. Impossible is just an opinion.
He should have copyrighted that, shouldn't he? Who's next? Right at the back. Hang on.
Two questions, if I can, really. First of all, Shay McCartan, how confident are we he'll be here on February the 1st, is number one. And number two, just as a side note, I saw an idea of the potential club shop somewhere in the town centre, which I personally thought was a really good idea, rather than expecting, not on match days for people to go all the way down to Central Bank. I just want to know the feasibility, if that's been looked into, or if it's a serious option or not.
If I take the first part, which is Shay McCartan, you can only be as confident as you can with most season-long loans having a break clause in them. So there is always a period in January on most contracts where the club can recall a player. At this point, we're not aware that Bradford wish to recall Shay. We're not aware that Shay particularly wants to go back to Bradford. So until the window on the period in which they can call him back closes, we can only say we're hopeful that he will stay. We wish him to stay, and we just have to wait and see. I'll pass the shop over to Liam.
Yeah, so one of the key remits of mine when I was brought in was around increasing the commerciality of the football club, and again, just to be really clear on that isn't about charging people more. That is about providing better value for money and providing external and other opportunities for the football club to generate funds. So I'd be lying to you if I said we've not looked at it. At the minute, it's not quite viable, but there are certainly options to have concession stands within other retailers. There's certainly opportunities to have pop-up marquees or stores, certainly around Christmas period and things like that. So it's definitely something that we're considering, and obviously I can say with some confidence that over the coming weeks and months there should be some developments in this area for you fans to look out for and get excited about, because we're certainly excited about some of the changes that are coming there too. So it's a constant evolution. We're rest assured we always explore all opportunities of that ilk, and like the only thing I would say is, like Clive says, it's sometimes a matter of time and resource. It's only been 70 odd weeks that I've been here, and 70 odd weeks that we've been Football League Club again. So you sometimes forget, because of the progress that is made on that green rectangle and such the phenomenal speed that it is developing on the pitch, we sometimes forget that our stay in the Football League's only been relatively short. So matter of time, but yeah, I'd like to think that over the course of the next 4.5 years, you'll start to see a little bit more town centre presence indeed.
It's great at the moment to see that we've got our fan zone open on every match day, and it's really just creates a bit of a buzz round on the day. Is there any plans in the future to make it more child friendly, to inspire the next generation of imps to come through?
I'll being really honest with you, we did some developments this summer that we thought would move it forward by moving the children's area onto the 3G. And it's not really worked. It's not had the numbers that we thought. But there are definitely plans to kind of increase that whole area. And it's difficult because we've it's ultimately a car park. That's what it is Monday to Friday, and then and on Saturday mornings we kind of put a load of work into it, and it turns into a fan zone. But yeah, we've got to modern day. Sport is about the whole experience. It's not just about turning up at 10 to 3 and coming and watching the game. So we've got to do more to attract people to come to Central Bank earlier. Hopefully you're starting to see early signs of that and some of the things that we have done. But yeah, without over promising, we definitely want to improve that whole match day experience, be that before the game, and even post game.
How far
How far do you think Lincoln City will go with under the new management system? How far do you think we'll go to the Premiership? Can I just finish? Everybody laughs, but I do see Bournemouth in the Premiership. I do see Swansea was in the Premiership last year, and we was playing them not long ago. So I'm just wondering what the projection is of the board. Are we aiming for the Championship? Are we aiming for Division 1? Or good question.
We're aiming to go as far as we can go. What we do know is it takes a lot of investment, it takes a lot of time, it takes good people. So we talk about the journey, which Steve Thompson, if you listen to Radio Links, told me not to mention on Friday Football the other week, and I said it twice in my first answer. But we talk about momentum, and we talk about continued progress. We also recognise that progress isn't always a straight line. We may get setbacks, we may plateau. What we will never do is sit here and go, well, Championship in 5 years, Premier League in whatever. We want to sort of take the next step, assess what it takes to move on from there, see what finances it takes. Some of the figures, quite honestly, you hear in the Championship are terrifying. You know, you're talking about clubs losing 20 million to get into the Championship and budgeting to lose 20 million to stay in it. That's the scale of it. So we recognise you can't just say, oh yes, we're going to be in the Championship. Let's get ourselves to League One. That's the aim. There's no guarantees on that at the moment. When we get there, obviously, it's not somewhere we've been very often in my lifetime, I guess in many of your lifetimes. So let's see what it's like there. Let's see what it takes. Let's see what budgets we need to compete, and then we start looking up. But with no certainty, and certainly no big statements from us around we're going here, there, or anywhere. But you're right. Clubs of our size, Burton, Bournemouth, have made it to those levels, so it isn't impossible. I think it's getting more and more difficult because of the money, no question of that. But I'm going to say now, impossible is just an opinion.
I think it might also help if we found a Russian billionaire.
Does anybody know one?
Yes, that links really to my question in terms of the commerciality and sponsorship and raising funds and bringing sponsors and money into the club in so many different ways. What's the management strategy for developing that? If we're conscious the high profile that Lincoln has had in recent years, television, lots of coverage, lots of profile. So what's the club's strategy on raising funding through sponsorship?
Yeah, great question. So obviously you'll have seen the recent announcement around moving the Bury kick-off time, and one of the main motivating factors in that is our obligation to our sponsors and the continued opportunity to raise the profile of Lincoln City on a national level. Since being out of the Football League and coming into the Football League, there is a huge jump and there is a marked difference in terms of the infrastructure that can be in a club and equally then the funds that can be generated. So what we've got to do is we've got a careful progression, because we had a lot of very loyal and dedicated sponsors from local businesses that have stuck with the club through some very difficult times, and it would be remiss of us to move on from them and without showing respect for their support that they've given us over the time. But there is no doubt that we've got to try and attract national, international partners. We've also got to kind of pick off the big local enterprises. And when you talk about the success of a football club, the success of a football club isn't just what goes on the pitch. You know, we need a thriving local business community as well, and it's great to see because Lincoln's got. There's investment coming into Lincoln as a city. You see the university in the top 25 universities in the country. And constant developments around the Brayford and other areas. So we talk all the time about this moment in time, and it does seem to be absolutely that you've got growth in all areas. To kind of give you some numbers, I suppose, to answer your question, we've seen a 30+% growth in commercial income in the last year, in the last football season. We're doing the same again, hopefully. But it's getting to the levels now that we're able to compete. we've got, you know, we have got areas that we've got to consider getting more out of. The Legends Lounge was a major development for us, and in terms of the investment that was put into that's paid itself back already. And I know in some areas it wasn't maybe the most popular decision, but from a commercial point of view, it's absolutely integral that we continue to explore opportunities like that. So, you know, this morning, we were in meetings with partners that are considering, you know, marquee sponsorship, be it kit, be it stands, and other areas. So what's actually quite nice, and which in our commercial department will support this, but what's quite nice is that people are coming to us as well as we going to them, and things like the way the club conducted itself at the weekend, you know, are huge milestones in that journey. The fact that, you know, people are approaching Lincoln City to get involved, it's a nice feeling.
The young lady.
I just wondered how successful the MyIMS membership had been and whether it's continuing next year.
As a product, in terms of the whole idea of MyIMS was around that connection between the fans that can't be season ticket holders and those that want an affiliation and want to be part of something and equally have some added benefits. So I suppose I might throw that question back at you guys in terms of has it worked for you from a commercial point of view. It's relatively negligible, but it was about creating another tier that meant people, you know, who either couldn't or it wasn't appropriate for them to shell out, you know, money on a season ticket, be it geography or be it their working patterns. So we just wanted another way of working with the fans. So I suppose I'll ask you the question: does it work?
We've been to a number of games already. And so will it continue, do you think, next year?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. As will the one-tier pricing system that we have around Central Bank. We've made decisions like that already. Looking forward towards next year.
Right, we've got about 10 minutes left before half-time break. So who's got the next question? Oh, here we are.
Give it all. Everybody well? Yeah? Right, Chris Moyes is going to mention earlier, yeah? Where's Chris Moyes has gone to now? Mr. Nates, please. Thank you.
I don't really know. He was at Alfreton and then, I don't know if he went anywhere else.
Is he not with Lincoln anymore?
He's an associate director and he's a shareholder in Lincoln City Holdings. A small shareholder there, but no, doesn't play any part of the club.
Next. Down the front.
Obviously, with the popularity of away games, it's becoming quite difficult to get tickets and everything. Is there any plans to introduce some sort of points-based system where those that travel often to away games get higher priority over those that just go to one or two?
Yeah, so we've investigated this and spent a bit of time looking at it. With Eventbrite, it's not possible at this moment in time. However, to be transparent, and you know, in terms of what we've found with that is that I don't think there are any perfect points-based systems either. You know, a lot of the byproduct of loyalty points, you only have to look at social media from the Sheffield clubs. You have fans buying tickets for away games that they're not even planning on going to, and then reselling them on eBay and the likes of those sites. So we do need to look at all mechanisms, and we'll continue to do so. But if I'm honest, no, I've not yet been convinced by a loyalty scheme out there that is actually truly rewards what it's intended to do. I think there are systems that can create the appearance of loyalty, but whether they actually achieve that, like I said, not quite convinced yet.
Right, we've got two more questions. Who's got the next one?
Mine's not a question. I just wanted to thank Berkshire and Clive for coming down to Concert Square, and any other members of staff. That made the difference on the Everton trip for me anyway. Seeing you come down to drink with the fans and mix with us just made that whole day memorable for me. You don't get that in any other Premiership club or I've not seen it in any lower league clubs, so take me out of it for doing that.
It's really kind of you to say that, James. I have to fess up at this point. I was shopping with my wife. I wasn't in Concert Square.
Yeah, well, that's because you had to, Roger. The question is, did he buy you a drink?
And I think what's important to recognise is that it's great to hear that it made your day, but it made my day as well.
I just want to acknowledge the fact that you came down, you made the effort with Danny, and for me and all the other fans, I'm sure we'll all agree.
Yeah, I mean, I went down with Greg Levine, and yeah, it was an amazing hour or so that we spent there.
It made all the difference.
And then Greg and I went back to the team hotel. I went up to the room, and somehow Greg bumped into Danny and told him about it and showed him the videos. And Danny said, I want to go down there. So Greg took Danny down there, and yeah, Danny says it was just an amazing experience for him. Obviously, it's been through a difficult couple of weeks with game after game, you know, all the recruitment, and he just said it provided such a boost to him to be able to go down there and see the fans.
We could actually hear you all from the hotel. That's part of the reason, Danny, when Greg when Greg came back, and Greg gets really excited, doesn't he? And he was bouncing around with how good it had been. And Danny said, "I can hear them. Where are they? How far is it?" And Greg said, "No, it's 5 to 10 minutes." And he went, "Can you take me back there?" So thank you for creating that for us. It was tremendous.
Yeah, thank you.
I was at the ground and I could hear it. It was amazing. I've got to say, the Everton fans that I spoke to, by the way, were so complimentary of our fans, which, coming from another group of fans, especially the Premiership team, was, you know, so big off to you lot as well, because the atmosphere was unbelievable. Well done. Anyway, who's got a very important last question? This is it. This is the big one. So make it a good one. No pressure. But if I don't get one soon, I'm going to go to Jake down there or Jordan. So get them out of it quick. Or that young lady at the front she's looking at me. No, come on, seriously, I need one more question before we have half time. Who's got it? Or, here we go.
What I must say on Saturday, just going back to Saturday's game, in all my history of football, it's the first time I've been beaten as a team involved in football, and it felt like a win. And everybody was so happy, jubilant, yet we just got beat 2-1. So which just reflects on the amazing success that we're doing. Now the other question is, which I find a little bit... I don't know if you guys will know this, is the club DJing? Because I find the pre-build-up music is a bit not quite on the ball. Now, I don't know if you noticed the Wolves-Liverpool game on Monday. They play I Am Silver Lining by Jeff Beck, and that really lifts the stadium. And I just think we just need a little bit of music that everybody can relate to, and we can all join in and sing to. Yeah? Yeah, you've got Dave Clark 5, Glad All Over, which will get the stadium buzzing. So just get everybody going before the game. Anybody under 35 will not know who they are, but it's a good song.
I've got to say, that was a very long last question. So let's think about this. Who's in charge of the music, Liam, on a match day?
Well, yeah,
Jake.
Blame Jake. No,
there's a bus reversing, Jake.
Listen, the point you make is absolutely right, and it goes back to this whole match day experience. And I think from our point of view, what we've tried to do is, because music taste is subjective, isn't it? You know, one man's ABBA is another man's AC/DC or whatever. You know, I'm sure you'd love a bit of Drake or CeeLo Brown or some of those the acts that we kind of have now. But again, it comes down to taste. So what we are trying to do is we have the campaigns before the games where different fans pick their playlists, and if nothing else, if you don't like it one week, then hopefully next week it's something a little bit more to your taking. What I do accept with that is sometimes when, you know, with democracy and you can over-egg that, and you can sometimes get to a point where we don't please anybody. But certainly what we try to do is take the choices that people have by writing in and try and make some sensible choices. I put one forward and got absolutely brilliant. So I've realised that I should never be the one that picks the songs. But no, fair point. You lot can do that already.
I was just going to say, the reality is that the stadium already is buzzing, to be fair, from where I'm standing. And it is hard, to be fair, because for every person that doesn't like Sweet Caroline, if we don't play it, believe you me, I get 3 times as many saying, why didn't you play Sweet Caroline? Just 1 second, because we do, you may have noticed these gentlemen down here we're live to the world on Tinterweb, and we have some questions, so I'm going to hand the mic to Nick and Jordan.
It's just the one. So don't get too excited. So you can decide between you who wants to answer it. Basically, we've just had a few comments come in about the Bury game and commending the decision regarding the discounted bus travel, because it's obviously difficult for supporters to get back that evening. It's more of a statement really that we've had, is just sort of commending the decision to, I suppose, reward the supporters wanting to make the late trip on a Saturday night.
Thank you.
It was more of a statement.
So it was a statement. I'll tell you what, we will do one more question, because he did actually, and then that will be the last one before we have half-time and get the other lot on.
Sorry, it's just a music question again. He's on about the Dave Clark 5. Is it the same Dave Clark that I saw score against Peterborough for Lincoln? In the 1980, my first game. Oh, okay, that's fine.
Well, I think probably Dave Clark 5 is a good place to end the first half, because I can't think of a better place. So I'm sure you'd like to join me in thanking the first half team, Mr. Liam Scully. A gentleman who I've known for too many years, up and down the motorways when things weren't quite as good as they are now, Mr. Roger Bates. And a gentleman who I think, well, we all know what Clive has done. I know he's saying he doesn't want me to say this, but without Clive we probably wouldn't be here, so give it up for Clive. Okay, so we'll have a quick 10-minute break. Don't forget the raffle down here. If you haven't got a ticket, make sure you do. Young people on the front, I'm coming to you for some questions to footballers in a minute. And we'll see you in about 10 minutes.